Today's episode is brought to you by no one. It's the first show. Who is going to sponsor a show that has no listeners? No listeners yet.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Podfulness. Let's get started.
Hello, good people. You are only 30 seconds into a brand new podcast, and I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. You are listening to Podfulness. Podfulness at its heart is a show that is dedicated to celebrating podcasts and the people who listen to them. So the service that this podcast provides is introducing you to a show that's out there that maybe you've never heard of before, or maybe you've heard of it and you don't know what it's all about. So this is your opportunity to learn a little bit more from a super fan. Podcasts don't approach me and ask me to promote their podcast. Instead, I just ask my friends or people that I come across if they have a favorite podcast. And if they do, let's share it with the world. And if they say yes, I bring them on the show. Now, the format of the show is simple. Segment number 1, I bring on a guest, and usually the guest is someone I know, like I said, but we take time to chat so you can feel more comfortable with that special guest. Then we move to the second segment, which is when the guest shares with us their favorite podcast. We learn why they like the podcast and why they think you should listen. Segment 3 is my time to goof around with the guest and play a game that I make up. The guest has no idea what we're going to play, and they just have fun with it. So let's review the format. We meet today's guest. Today's guest shares information about their favorite podcast. Then we play a silly game with the guest. That's it. At the end of the show, I will tell you how you can be a guest on this very show if you're interested, because I'm always looking to make new friends. Speaking of friends, let's get to today's guest, our very first guest on Podfulness. His name is Lou Binetti. Lou and I worked for the same company, and from the moment I met him, I liked him. He's quirky, he's bright, he and I have a very similar sense of humor, and his mind runs a mile a minute. Plus, he knows a lot about pop culture, and sometimes I drop references in conversation that are pretty obscure. He knows them right away. And sometimes he drops references and I have no idea what he's talking about, but that's okay because I like to learn new things. Anyway, I'm excited for you to meet him and hear about the podcast that he loves. So I think we're ready to meet Lou Binetti. Let's get to it. Lou Binetti, you are the first guest on the first episode of Podfulness. How does that make you feel?
I feel very podful. Yeah.
It feels good. So, well, thank you for doing this. And the reason I wanted you to come on the show is because you're a pop culture fanatic. You seem to know a lot about podcasts and entertainment and music. And I just like hearing you riff on stuff. So, Lou, you were born in New York. You now live in Tucson.
Mhm.
All right. Where did you stop? Did you stop anywhere along the way?
I stopped in Palm Beach, Florida, to be close to the Winter White House and our esteemed still President Donald. And then I moved to San Diego to be close to San Diego's. I enjoy eating waffles with sand on them, and that's the homeland.
Yeah, that's the special difference, I think, with San Diego waffles.
Yeah.
It's the sand. So Lou, so tell me, what do you do for work?
I am what you would call a Salesforce administrator. So I take requests from others
Yep.
and then make to their Salesforce environment and build reports and dashboards. And it's so much fun. We should make a second podcast called "How to Go to Sleep Very Quickly."
Right. And
Head shot.
and what I would love is if you could talk to Salesforce. I'd love more buttons and links within Salesforce. Is there any way to get that?
Yes.
Yeah, for folks who don't know what Salesforce is, you're better off, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Take a stick, poke yourself in the eye. And now you know what Salesforce is like.
Right. What do you do for fun, Lou? Like when you're not watching TV, when you're not watching movies, when you're not a pop culture guy, what is your go-to activity?
As of lately, it's been cursing this contractor who's been working on my bathroom for the last month. But outside of that, I have a daughter that just turned 9, and I have been trying very hard to see the world through her eyes and go to all kinds of fun things. This Sunday, if anyone wants to come, we're having a pancake art party.
Oh,
So
it's nice of you to invite.
yeah, well,
We'll put the address in the notes, the show
no,
notes.
no, no, you don't have to. People who are good enough online should be able to, based just on the stuff that appears in the background of my shot, be able to locate me, and then you can just show up on Sunday.
Well, fortunately, we're not going to show any video from this podcast, so you're
I'm out of
safe,
here.
right? But I suppose they could look your name up. They could look up the city. They could
Yep.
search Facebook. Are you? But
Yep.
you're not a big social media guy, right?
Oh, I have no social media, so I'm very hard to dox. But if you can dox me, show up on Sunday. We're gonna have a pancake art party. It's gonna be spectacular.
How does that work? Are pancakes separate from the art, or do you combine the two?
We're drawing. Well, we're drawing on canvas first, and then we're going to take those drawings and make pancake versions of the art. So you'll have the art, and then you'll have the pancake version of the art, and then you can eat your art.
Oh my, have you copyrighted this, or is this something other people do?
No, but you know what I saw when I was ordering materials? The Presto company has created a pancake art pan that they call Pan Go. And I think that
Ah,
is, I'm so mad that somebody beat me to that pun. I'm going to call myself, because my middle name is Vincent, I'm going to call myself Vincent Pan Go for the whole party.
that's
But
excellent. Is it
it's
pan go because we have an ear for detail? Yeah, you
Oh,
like that?
I do like that. Bravo, sir.
Thank you.
Bravo. Yes.
And that's why they gave me my own podcast.
Very nice. What a nice seg.
Yeah, what a what a nice seg there. So, how many podcasts do you listen to?
I listened to two. I listened to a recap of a show called the 10-Minute Podcast, which was on a couple years ago with Will Sasso and oh my goodness, who else is in there? Chris D'Elia, who's since been canceled and then uncanceled and then canceled again.
Hmm.
And then the gentleman from The Fighter and the Kid, who's not the UFC fighter. But they did a 10-minute podcast. It was 10 minutes long. It was really good. But now they have these like omnibuses where it's like 2 hours or an hour and a half of related 10-minute episodes strung together. And it's great.
Okay. But that's not the one we're talking about, but that's one worth checking out. So what
That led to Dudesy, because Will Sasso is in the 10-minute podcast and Will Sasso is also in Dudesy.
okay, so we're going to talk about Dudesy, but first we have to take this short break.
Podfulness.
Listener, have you ever been thirsty and you've wondered, why am I so thirsty? It's probably because your body needs water. Drink water. It helps you feel less thirsty. And now, back to the show. So let's talk about Dudesy, and can we spell it for the audience first so they can find it?
Dudesy.
Dudesy. And you mentioned one of the hosts, Will Sasso. Can I start with Will, because I listened to a couple of episodes?
Yeah.
His voice reminds me of like a mix between Penn Jillette and Seth Rogen.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of gruff, and you know, he's really out there. His mind works a mile a minute. But how would the audience maybe know this name?
Well, Will Sasso for years and years was on Mad TV. He was the tall, chunky, bald guy on Mad TV. He also was in the relaunch movie of the Three Stooges. Remember the Three Stooges movie that came out?
Yes.
The Farrelly brothers. He was
Curly.
Yeah.
That's where it is. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And he shows up every now and then, like you'll watch something and he'll appear. He's funny. Like you said, he's very fast on his feet. He's a very good impressionist,
Mm-hmm.
but his wheelhouse are wrestling characters, which is my wheelhouse.
Okay,
So.
right. And he has a co-host, correct?
Yeah, this gentleman named Chad, who is super interesting. Chad Colchin has a couple of podcasts for The Bachelor. Actually is a paid consultant who has had a couple of contestants get onto The Bachelor. He coaches people to be contestants on The Bachelor. But he's also a Hollywood writer. He's written some movie treatments and some TV shows and had some stuff go on the air. And I am I don't know what, but I within the realm of this podcast, they talk about his scripts extensively.
So you're telling me that people go on The Bachelor and they have agents, that it's not just people looking for love?
What?
Oh, I can't believe it. How long would you last on The Bachelor?
Oh, I wouldn't last on The Bachelor. Come on.
Would you leave on your own devices or would you have to wait to not get a rose?
I'm an overweight guy in his mid 40s. I'm gonna get voted up. I'm gonna get handed a dead rose and told, "See you later."
Will you accept this thorn? That's what they'd say. All right. So, what is Dudesy all about? What's the premise of this podcast?
So Dudesy is the world's first and maybe only podcast that is completely produced by AI. And they say it's produced by AI, but I firmly believe that it's not. But they do a very good job of making you believe. There is a third person, an AI voice, that every episode will tell them what they're going to talk about. We'll set up 3 or 4 little vignettes and this is usually an hour 15. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you get an extra bit at the end if you pay to join their Patreon. But the AI has the ability to read all of their old content and all of their online stuff and all of their cloud stuff. So the AI will come to them and say, okay, I've read your diary from when you were a kid. Please reenact these scenes. Or I found this movie script that you wrote 10 years ago for Pizza the Movie, a movie that you were going to pitch and have Papa John's make and include the DVD with every pizza. So this week you're going to read scenes 2 through 5 of Pizza the Movie. And so
It's a great gimmick.
Usually the stuff is made up and it's improv and it's fast on their feet. But what I really love about Dudesy is they talk extensively about the intersection of AI and creativity and AI and content creation.
And that's a huge topic right now.
So big.
I have not tried the Chat GPT. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I've not tried it yet, but is it sort of along those same lines where
it's kind of, I mean, here's the big thing that they talk about. They talk about a future where you'll be able to go and like open your Netflix app and say to Netflix, hey, I want 2 more seasons of Seinfeld, and I want Dave Bautista to play Jerry Seinfeld, and I want Alexandria Daddario to play Elaine, and I
tune in for that.
Yeah, I want Kramer to be played by Mike Myers, and then this AI will just Chat GPT component writes the script, a Dolly component will make the video, piece these pieces together, and then deliver you custom curated content specifically for you, which kind of blows my mind.
I don't know if I should be scared or excited, right?
I think you should be scared because what they're talking about when they talk about this stuff is almost like, the last couple of years with the explosion of the internet and the explosion of content and the explosion of streaming, we've kind of become more and more reclusive and kind of sucked into our own little universes. And as these AI networks come online, the ability for us to become even more withdraw is going to be there. I mean, why go out into the public when you can have everything that you want made specifically for you and streamed into your TV, or if Elon gets what he wants, into your brain directly?
Right. And I wonder, Lou, like, did COVID accelerate that? Or let's say COVID never happened. Is this where we were going anyway?
I think it's where we were going anyway. I mean, there was AI being used to generate images before COVID, but the ability that these products have you messed around with Dolly 2 yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, amazing.
So with Dudesy, with this third host on Dudesy, the AI, the computer, sometimes I can't say he or she, right, or they, but it chimes in the middle of their conversation. Is that intentional by the host, or is that really Dudesy butting in?
I think they've maybe gone as far as they need to go with a bit, because the Dudesy will be like, thank you, moving on. And then they move on to the next bit. I love it because it keeps things light and it keeps things from getting too heavy. Like they will go super deep and get super lost in the weeds on some of these conversations. And you could lose an hour talking about this stuff. And it's better, I think, to only give you 15 minutes of it and then jump into talking about, who's the better wrestler, or what does Jesse Ventura think about QAnon? I mean, just some of the most.
Do they ever bring other guests? Is there ever a fourth person in the conversation?
Sometimes they had Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I thought it was going to be fake, but he was an unbelievably amazing and articulate guest. And the stuff that they talked about with the future of AI was amazing. Like, to hear what Neil thinks about it, it's pretty cool stuff.
Right. So how soon do you think it will be before Will is replaced by AI?
Ooh.
And then shows, they can have 100 shows a day.
See, now the show has a goal for Will and Craig. It's not his name.
Chad,
to get to 10,000 points. And right at the end of every episode, they get, 100,000 or so points, depending on, it's like, Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points don't matter, everything's made up. So I think Will and Chad will be around at least through 10,000 points, which, the way that they're accumulating points, will probably be another couple of years. Maybe long enough for a real AI to come in and take over hosting duties on the show.
Right. Well, it's funny you say points don't matter, because we're going to play a game where the points don't matter.
Is this a seg? Did we just have a seg?
I don't know. Maybe that was a seg. That could have been a seg. But let me first say, Dudesy is available wherever podcasts are played, right?
Yes, it's available. I get it on Spotify.
Yep.
And I am a Patreon subscriber. I should probably say that. There's two different Patreon tiers. One that gives you access to a Discord channel that I don't use, but one that gives you access to an additional bit every week, which is a user-submitted bit. So it's very cool. So people who pay can then type in and say, this is what I'd like to see, and make a recommendation. And then every week they pick one and do it.
Well, if you're fascinated by AI and you have somewhat of an interest in wrestling, check out Dudesy, right?
So basically, if you're me, check out Dudesy, because it's perfect for dudes named Lou who live in Tucson.
So let's transition. Since we were talking about Dudesy, let's play a game. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
This game is called Famous Dudes.
Ooh.
Famous dudes. So I'm going to ask you questions about famous dudes, and you have to provide the answer. If you don't know the answer, make something up. I might give you points anyway.
Okay.
So creativity matters. There are no prizes, so you just get bragging rights. You can brag to all your friends that you dominated famous dudes. Scoring is completely random. I'm the final judge whether points are scored or not.
That's, by the way, that's something I do note with my friends often is, just so that I dominate random dudes. Just it's my side hustle. I make good money doing it.
Hey, you got to earn that cheddar.
Yeah, I'm just worried about AI taking over.
Right. So, okay, you cannot use the internet. I'm watching you closely. Here we go. Are you ready, Lou?
Yeah.
Okay, question number 1. This is worth a possible 10 points. Name 4 movies with Austin Kutcher in them.
Dude, Where's My Car?
That's number 1. Excellent.
The Butterfly Effect.
2004. Good job.
Now I have to name 2 other movies.
That's right. Right now you have a total of 5 points.
Was he in an American Pie movie?
An American Pie movie? I don't know. I don't think he was.
Pass.
So pass.
I can't name any other Ashton Kutcher movies. Is that a good thing?
That's not a bad thing, because he's known for his TV show. I know he was in Vengeance recently, which I actually thought was a pretty good movie.
Oh, he was in Vengeance, and Vengeance was. Spoiler alert: he gets shot in the head.
Oh my! He was also in Jobs. Okay, that's enough about Mr. Kutcher. But you get 5 points. Okay. Question number 2. This is worth a possible 10 points. Dude might be Jeff Bridges' most famous character from The Big Lebowski. This is a two-parter. Who directed the movie? And tell me everything you know about that director. You have 20 seconds. Go.
I believe The Big Lebowski was directed by Joel and Ethan Coen because they're the Coen brothers. What can I tell you about the Coen brothers that any
10 more
middle-aged
seconds.
white man can't tell you? They are extensive. They're two Jewish brothers. They've directed some amazing movies. A Simple Man was one of them.
Lou, you're out of time.
Oh,
You're out of time. But I tell you what, A Simple Man, that got you the full 10 points. That's right. It was Joel and Ethan. Joel was born in 54. Ethan was born in 57.
I love the end of A Simple Man where everything that man has sown is about to come home to roost, and he looks up and the storm clouds are closing in, and spoiler alert, fade to black.
Oh, that's how it ends.
Yes.
Yeah, I love those endings. Some people don't, but I love it. All right, this is worth a possible 20 points. Question number 3. Aerosmith scored a top 10 hit with Dude Looks Like a Lady. What year did that song chart? And how high did it chart on Billboard's Top 40?
Dude Looks Like a Lady. I'm going to say Dude Looks Like a Lady was late 80s, early 90s. Let's just say 89.
89. Okay.
And how high did it chart? Let's say Dude Looks Like a Lady was at least top 5. I'm going to say top 5.
Dude Looks Like a Lady was released from, it was their 9th studio album, Permanent Vacation, in 1987.
Wow.
And the track reached number 14. But it also was number 41 on the Hot Dance Club Play Chart.
Wow.
So, you were in the general vicinity. I'll give you 10 points for that, okay?
Do you think when Ryan Seacrest dies that we'll just replace Ryan Seacrest with a Ryan Seacrest AI that will just do his voice?
How do we know that hasn't happened already?
Well, and when that happens, how many more shows will Ryan Seacrest host? Because our long national nightmare with Ryan Seacrest still continues.
Okay, Lou. Here we go. Question number 4. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is worth 30 points.
Oh
Jeff Spicoli was 1982's most awesome dude, right? Fast Times at Ridgemont High, played by
Madonna's ex-wife, Sean.
Madonna's ex-husband, Sean Penn. How many little dudes does Sean Penn have in his real life?
Oh my goodness gracious. Boy, if his fathering abilities are anything like his authoring abilities, he's a very bad parent. Did you read his book? Did you try to read his book?
No, I have not.
I think Hunter S. Thompson tried and said, "No, this is too messed up for me, dude."
So it was fiction, I'm assuming?
Yes, okay. yes. Let a stream of consciousness, a fiction. Let's say that Sean Penn has 3 dudes, one named No Shirt, one named No Shoes, and one named No Service.
You are incorrect, but I like that guess. He has 2 children, Leo and Eileen. And if we're considering traditional gender assignments, maybe he has 1 dude, but you never know. Could be 2, could be 0, but he has 2 children.
Come on, Eileen.
Come on. Here's question number 5. This is worth a possible 20 points. As close as you can guess, how would you expect Urban Dictionary to define the term "my dude"?
Oh my God. I know that you don't go to Urban Dictionary without expecting everything to be a sex joke.
Now, do know there were a few entries, but I'm choosing the clean one.
So repeat the question again?
So how do you think Urban Dictionary, the PG-rated version, defines the term "my dude"?
Probably has to do with steerage or cattle.
Okay. It's not
because
close.
Ranch, right?
Here, I will tell you right now. Originating in NYC, not in Jersey, meaning my friend, homie, my son. And then they gave some examples. Yo, my dude, what's good? What you dealing with? My dude, you whilin'. So it's my friend, my partner. All right, you got 0 points for that. I think you're stuck at 25. And this is the final question. This is worth a possible 40 points, Lou.
Are you sure that you want to start this podcast by saying that I am a pop culture person, because I am failing you miserably here?
Well, I think that with the pop culture that matters, you're my guy.
Amen. 40 points. Let's do it.
40 points. Here we go. Our final question. There's no true correct answer, but I will assign points to you based on your creativity. This is subjective, of course. What is the minimum age and the maximum age that you can be to be a dude?
I call little kids little dude all the time.
So what age? How young do you go?
5.
5, okay. And what's the max that you can be a dude?
I'm going to give it Lego ages and say 5 to 105.
That is correct. Lou,
Amen.
That is the exact answer that I had just written down as you said it.
Okay.
So congratulations. I believe that's 40 plus 25, if my math is correct. 65 points. That's the highest score anyone has ever gotten on a game on Podfulness.
But on the first guess.
That's true. But still, you have that record as of this point in time.
I am so stoked.
Friends, you can check out Lou's podcast recommendation, Dudesy, wherever fine podcasts are streamed. And Lou, thank you very much for being our first guest on our first episode.
Mark, I wish you so much success with this. I feel like this is so cool and such a unique concept that no one has tackled before. And I spent all week bragging, I'm going to be on a podcast.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, for sure. So I can't wait for me to be invited back due to overwhelming popularity and overwhelming demand.
I will monitor the socials and I'll let you know how that's going. Well, there you have it. Episode 1, Season 1 is now in the books. Maybe you want to be on the show. Maybe you have a podcast that you love to listen to that you want to share with the world. Maybe it's a podcast that inspires you or makes you laugh or simply allows you to forget about life for a while. That's always nice. I want to hear from you. So reach out via Twitter or Instagram. That's at Podfulness. That's my handle. Or send me an email. Send that to podfulness@gmail.com. That's podfulness with 1 L. Thank you for listening. My name is Mark Bernstein, and I will catch you next time on
Podfulness.